Hi, good day. So this will be our last lecture for our organic chemistry, and this is all about amines. So for the topic outline, we have naming, second is structure, and properties. Very short lang to. So amines are considered as the organic derivatives of ammonia. So kung ang organic derivatives ng water ay yung ether, alcohol, and phenol, pag organic derivatives of ammonia naman, so we have amines. Ano ba ang structure nitong ammonia? So ammonia is your NH3. So mayroong significance bakit diniscuss natin itong structure ng ammonia, which is NH3. So amines are compound containing an amino group. So yung amino group dito is the NH2 and can be either a primary amine, so represented by RNH2. It's a secondary amine, R2NH, or tertiary amine, R3N. So here's just a picture of the primary, secondary, and tertiary. So a while ago, I mentioned that ammonia is NH3. So what if yung bawat isa dun sa ammonia, di ba, this is NH3. So yung bawat H dyan, papalitan natin siya with a C. So if we replace one H from the ammonia with a C, so that is a primary amine. So yung nitrogen dito is the amine nitrogen. Now, if we replace two hydrogens with two carbons, we call that a secondary amine. And then if we replace all H's in the ammonia with three carbons, we call that your tertiary amine. So amines can also be further classified as alkyl substituted, or we call it alkyl amine or aliphatic amines, or aryl substituted, aryl substituted or aryl amines, or aromatic amines. So what is the difference? So in alkyl substituted, in this type, all carbons bonded to nitrogen are derived from alkyl groups. So meron kang alkane, alkene, or alkyne, tapos yung isang carbon doon ay may nakakabit na nitrogen. Ano yung form ng nitrogen na yun? It could be NH2. Okay? Or, yun, so NH2. Pag aryl substituted naman, or aryl amines, or aromatic amines, meron ka nung benzene ring. So, meron ka nung benzene ring at meron nakaka-attach na N. At yung N na yan can be H or C. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng aryl amines and alkyl amines. So, let's give an example for clarity. So, for aliphatic amines, so we have the primary, secondary, and tertiary amines. So, this one, mapapansin nyo, supposedly, methane is CH4. So, meron kang apat na hydrogens. So, yung isang hydrogen dyan, pinaltan mo ng N. So, yung N na yan ay nakakabit sa dalawang H. So, this NH2 is attached to this CH3. So, that's why it is called CH3NH2 or methylamine. So, ito namang okay? So, ito naman ay naging dimethylamine. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung isang H dito, pinaltan mo siya ng isa pang methyl group, the CH3. So, that's why it's called a dimethylamine. And kapag pinaltan mo ulit yung isa pang H ng CH3, it will become trimethylamine at tertiary amine. For the aromatic amine, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, there's a benzene ring and you can attach the nitrogen. And the hydrogens here can be replaced by carbons. Okay? So if you have here a benzene ring with an NH2, so that's a primary aromatic amine. But if you have here, dun sa NH2 dito sa, yung isang hydrogen dito ay pinaltan mo ng carbon, that will become a secondary aromatic amine. Bakit? Itong carbon na yan, dun sa benzene ring, this is carbon and this is another carbon. your nitrogen is bonded to 2 carbons. So that's why it's called a secondary amine. Pero i-specify natin kasi ito ay may benzene ring. So that's a secondary aromatic amine. Now, if we replace the second hydrogen dun sa NH2 ng isa pang carbon, so yung N mo ngayon is bonded to 3 carbons. So that's why it's called your tertiary aliphatic amine. So bakit siya naging aliphatic? Kasi yung N mo ngayon dito is bonded to mga aliphatic na substituents. So that's the difference between an aliphatic amine, or we call this your alkyl amine, and your aromatic amine, we also call this your aryl amine. So how do we name amines? So simple amines are named by adding the suffix amine to the name of the alkyl substituent. So some examples are shown below. So we have here the NH2 group. So pag nakita niyo yung NH2, yan ay amine. Pero depende sa scenario. So ito yung inyong alkyl substituent. So ilang carbons yon? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's met et prop but. So that's a butyl. Bakit siya third? Kasi yung carbon mo ay bonded to 3 other carbons. So that makes it a tertiary carbon. So that's a tertiary carbon. So we call it a third butyl. Now you just add the term amine. This is third butyl amine. Next is, you have here a hexagon. So ito ay ina-expect natin na hexane yan. Pero since it's a ring structure, we call this a cyclohexane. Cyclohexane tong part na to. Cyclohexane. Pero dahil ito ay substituent dito sa ito ay substituent sa NH2, so we call this your cyclohexyl amine. Okay? So cyclohexane to, gagawin mo siyang substituent na alkyl, so it will become cyclohexyl amine. So ito, be careful kasi meron siyang version nito na may NH2 but there is yung single double bonds, yung alternating single double bonds, may presence ka ng benzene ring. So you should be careful. This is a benzene ring, this is just a cyclohexane. So if you have benzene ring na may NH2, we call this your aminobenzene. So aminobenzene, or it is commonly known as aniline. So hindi lahat ng may compound na may NH2 ay diretsong amine na siya. So pag yung rule dati natin dito ay yung parent dito is the benzene, tapos meron kang substituent na NH2. So yun ay magiging aminobenzene. The NH2 here is the substituent naman. Okay? So it will become aminobenzene or aniline. So the suffix amine can be used in place of the E in the name of the parent compound. So like for example, we can divide this compound into 2. This is the NH2. So itong part na yan. So itong part na to is your cyclohexane. But you have here dalawang methyl groups at the same carbon. So we can call this a dimethyl cyclohexane. So this part is the dimethyl cyclohexane. Now, paano natin siya bibigyan ng name? So yung NH2 here is assumed na nasa carbon 1 siya. So bibigyan natin ng number itong dimethyl. So if this is your 1, this is 2, 3, 4. So at carbon position number 4, you have dalawang methyl group. So it becomes 4,4-dimethyl cyclohexane amine, pero tatanggalin natin yung E, palitan lang ng amine. So, it will become 4,4-dimethyl cyclohexanamine. Next, this one is, meron kang dalawang NH2 groups at the ends of the chain. So, ang uunahin natin dito is to name the presence of the two NH group. So, kapag isa lang, amine. Dahil ito ay dalawa, it will become a diamine. So, ang basa dyan is diamine. Now, what is the name of the parent compound? So, the parent compound, you'll just count the number of carbons. So, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So, that's met et prop but. Met et prop but. Tama. So, that's but. So, that's butane. Hindi natin aalisin dito yung E. Hindi siya katulad nun sa rule dito na aalisin yung E, ilagay yung amine. Kasi meron tayong presence ng dalawang NH2 group. So, it will become diamine. So, ang mangyayari is butane diamine. Now, where is your NH2 groups located? So, you can say that this is the carbon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pwede rin naman baliktad 1, 2, 3, 4 kasi same lang naman. So, at carbon positions 1 and 4, meron ka nung presence nung mga amino groups. So, dalawa sila. So, that's why it's 1,4-butane diamine. So, amines with more than one functional groups are named by considering the NH2 as an amino substituent. So, hindi, yun nga, yung case natin kanina na hindi po may NH2 kayong makita, ay amina ang dulo niya. Pero di kasi natin gamitin na yung NH2, siya yung substituent. Okay? So, like for this example, we have 3 examples here. Let's go with number 1. So, one example natin dito ay may makikita kayo itong isa pang functional group, the CO2H, or this is your carboxylic acid. O, kakadiscuss lang natin yan. So, carboxylic acid to. Ngayon, bibigyan natin ng name yung parent chain na carboxylic acid, and we just name the NH2 here as your amino. So, yan. Unahin muna natin pangalanan yung inyong parent chain. So, this is, you always start with the carboxyl carbon, yung may C double bond O. So, this is your carbon 1. So, this is 2, 3, 4. So, that's met et prop but. So, that's a butane, supposedly. You drop the E, you make it oic acid. So, that's why it's a butanoic acid. Now, where is the location of your amino group, the NH2? So, na-establish nyo na naman yung direction ng numbering. So, it occurs at the carbon position number 2. So, it will become 2-amino-butanoic acid. So, that's why. Next, we have here another carboxylic acid. So, this time, this is your benzene ring with the COOH. And that will impart a name or magkakaroon siya ng special name na benzoic acid. So, benzoic acid yung ating parent name. Now, we will consider the NH2s here as your substituent. So, yan ay amino. So, dahil meron kang dalawa yung NH2 groups mo, we will call it a diamino. So, hence, it's a diamino here. Now, where is the location of your two amino groups or amino substituents? So, you decide. So, yung COOH dito, matic yan, that's the carbon 1. Now, you decide whether clockwise or counterclockwise. If you do the counterclockwise, the NH2 groups are located at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 6 kapag counterclockwise. Pero kapag clockwise, ang direction mo, you have 2, 3, 4. So, 2, 4. And you select the lower number. So, that's why it's called 2,4-diamino benzoic acid. Okay? So, solve tayo dyan. Next is this one. Ano ang napapansin natin dito? We have here the carbonyl carbon, the C double bond O. Now, you ask yourself, what kind of carbonyl compound is this? So, since yung pagpipilian nyo lang dito is R, C, double bond, O, H. This is your aldehyde. Kapag ito ay R, C, double bond, O, R, so yung carbon mo is connected to another carbon, that's your ketone. So which is which? So itong carbonyl carbon mo dito is attached to 2 carbons. So that's why the parent name here is a ketone. So ketone yung ating ketone yung yung parent chain dito. So we name the parent name first. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we will always start the numbering dun sa end na mas mababang mabibigyan natin ng mababang number yung carbonyl group. So hence, we will start the numbering at this end sa kanan. So that's why this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So apat na carbon, so that's your met, et, prop, but. So that's why it's a butane supposedly. Dahil ito ay ketone, we drop the E, we make it on. So that's why it's a butanone. So solve tayo dyan. Now, we locate the position of the C double bond O. And the position is at carbon number 2. So that's why it's a 2-butanone. Now, where is your amino substituent? So the amino substituent, dahil na-establish na natin yung direction ng numbering, so it's from kanan to kaliwa, your NH2 group appears or is bonded at carbon number 4. So that's why it's a 4-amino 2-butanone. How do we name naman symmetrical, secondary, or tertiary amines? So pag sinabi nating symmetrical, so meron kayong symmetry. So may axis of symmetry. Pag pinold mo yung molecule, mag-a-appear, mag-fit sila perfectly. So this example here is a secondary amine. So secondary, symmetrical, and tertiary amines are named by adding the prefix di or tri to the alkyl group. Use the di kapag dalawa yung same na substituent, or tri kapag tatlo. So let's give an example here. This one is your secondary amine. Bakit siya secondary amine? Kasi yung nitrogen mo is bonded to 2 carbons at may isa lang na H. So this is a secondary amine. Now, we will name this as amine, yung dulo. Now, we will determine ano yung nakakabit dun sa N. So, similar sila. So, itong group na to, na ring lang yan, the benzene ring, we will call this your phenyl, di ba? Yung discussion natin ng aromatic compounds. So, phenyl group to. So, you have 2 phenyl groups attached to this nitrogen. So, we will call it a diphenyl. That's why the name is diphenylamine. Now, for a tertiary amine, pag sinabi natin tertiary amine, you have nitrogen and it is bonded to 3 carbons. So, this is a tertiary amine. So, our example here is a tertiary amine kasi this is the nitrogen and it is bonded to 3 carbons. Now, what are the substituents or ano yung mga nakakonect dun sa nitrogen mo? So, this is your 1, 2. So, this is met, et. So, we know this is your ethyl group. And similar siya dun sa similar yung nakakabit dun sa nitrogen. So, we will call this a triethylamine. Okay? So, how about unsymmetrical? So, yung kanina pinag-usapan natin, pag yung dun sa tertiary, magkakamukha yung mga nakakabit dun sa N. Pero this time, hindi. So, unsymmetrically substituted secondary and tertiary amines are named as N-substituted primary amines. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin dito, hahanapin natin yung pinakamalaking alkyl group. We will locate the largest alkyl group. And the largest alkyl group is the parent name. And the other alkyl groups are considered as N-substituents. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? Hanapin muna natin yung pinakamalaking alkyl group na nakakabit dun sa nitrogen at yun yung magiging parent name at yung mga ibang alkyl groups na nakakabit kay N ay i-consider natin sila na N-substituents. When say N-substituents, meron kang nitrogen at may nakakabit sa kanyang mga substituents. Yeah, yun, ganun. So, like for example, this one, may makikita tayong this one is a methyl. This is another methyl. And this one is met et prop. So, ano yung pinakamahaba dyan? Of course, the propyl. So, the propyl here, yung propyl group, ikakabit natin yung amine. So, hanapin nyo muna yung pinakamahabang alkyl group, dadagdagan nyo siya ng amine. So, that's why it's called a propyl amine. Now, ano ang nakakabit doon sa nitrogen? Yung dalawa. So, similar naman sila. Same. So, we have methyl, dalawa. So, that's why it's called a dimethyl. It doesn't end there. Because, meron tayong ilalagay na letter N. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, yung ating dimethyl, yung dalawang methyl groups ay nakakabit sa N. So, we will call this your N dimethyl propyl amine. Okay? So, hanapin nyo muna yung pinakamalaking alkyl group. Yun yung lalagyan natin ng amine. Then, we also identify the other substituents and we will write N. So, for this example naman, i-identify din natin ulit yung mga substituents. So, this one is a methyl. This one is your ethyl. And this one, ano ito? So, this is just a plain cyclohexane. Cyclohexane yan. Pero dahil siya ay alkyl group, so we will call that your cyclohexyl. Now, what is the largest alkyl group among the three? So, the largest is yung 6. So, that's why we will call this your cyclohexyl plus amino. So, cyclohexylamine. Yun yung parent name. Then, i-identify na natin yung mga substituents. So, dun sa N, may nakakabit na methyl at may ethyl. So, kapag magkaiba yung substituents, ang system natin ng naming is uunahin natin siya alphabetically. So, ito, ethyl versus methyl, ethyl comes first because of alphabetization. So, ethyl first and then methyl. So, that's why it is called ethyl, then methyl. Then, we write N before the substituent. So, that's why it's called N-ethyl, N-methyl, cyclohexylamine. Balikan natin tong isa. So, ito kasi, parehas lang naman yung substituent mo. Methyl lang sila. Kaya ito, ginawang N, N, dimethyl propyl amine. So, pag magkaiba, paghihiwalay natin yung N. So, N and then the substituent, alkyl substituent, and then N and another substituent. Then the parent name. So, ito. Another example. So, this one is named as N-methyl aniline. Ano ba ang structure ng aniline? So, you have here the benzene ring and aniline kasi is NH2. Yung isang H doon sa NH2 ay kinabitan ng, inalis at kinabitan siya ng ng CH3. So, bawasan ng isa, napaltan yung H dito ng CH3. Kaya ano nangyari dyan? Yung ating parent name is this part, aniline. So, this is your aniline parent name. And then the substituent here is your methyl. That's why it is called methyl aniline. And again, you write the N. So, that means yung methyl group ay attach. Yung methyl group ay attached to a nitrogen atom. This one. So, similar lang to dun sa example natin kanina. So, the parent here is the largest. So, this is the largest. So, the largest here is the 5 carbons na ring structure. So, we call that a cyclopentane. So, ang ano natin dyan, ang ating process ng pag-name, cyclopentane ito, we drop the E, will add the amine. Cyclopentanamine. So, ito na yan. Now, we have two similar substituents. So, this is your methyl. So, dalawa siya. So, that's why it's a dimethyl. Then, we also write the N. So, N, N, dimethyl cyclopentanamine. So, that is how you name your amine. So, ito, medyo high level of na to. Meron din tayong iba-iba pang mga nitrogen-containing compounds. So, we call this your heterocyclic amines. So, medyo advanced na topics na to. So, heterocyclic amines are compounds in which the nitrogen atom occurs as a part of a ring. So, ang ibig sabihin lang nito, kapag yung nitrogen mo ay part ng isang ring, that is called a heterocyclic amine. So, each ring system has its own parent name. Madaming examples nitong heterocyclic amines. So, the nitrogen is always numbered as position number 1. Okay? So, some examples of heterocyclic amines are pyridine, pyrrole, quinoline, imidazole, indole, pyrimidine, pyrrolidine, and piperidine. So, hindi naman ito kasama sa exam. So, these are just other nitrogen-containing compounds. So, yung difference lang, meron tayong tinatawag na heterocyclic aliphatic amine. So, pag sinabi natin aliphatic, single bonds lang. Pero kapag sinabi mong heterocyclic aromatic amine, meron na yung tinatawag natin na aromatic ring. So, dun sa example natin kanina na madaming lahat ng mga yan, meron dyan na aliphatic at meron tayo na aromatic. So, anong mga nakikita lang natin dito na aliphatic? Ang aliphatic lang dito is itong dalawa, pyrrolidine and piperidine, kasi walang double bond. So, pyrrolidine and piperidine, these are heterocyclic aliphatic amines. And the rest are aromatic amines, heterocyclic. So, ito, medyo related to do sa discussion natin ng aromatic compounds. So, balikan lang natin ulit. So, the IUPAC nomenclature retains the common name aniline. So, aniline is the benzene ring with the NH2. Okay? So, ito din kasing aniline, pwede mo siyang namean ng aminobenzene. Pero, ang common name niya is the aniline. So, how do we name simple derivatives of aniline? So, we will just name simple derivatives of aniline by using numbers to locate the substituents, or alternatively use the prefixes ortho, meta, and para. Ortho O, meta M, para P. Okay? So, ano bang ibig sabihin nun? Pwede nating gamitin yung ortho, meta, para, or yung numbering na when you say ortho, that's 1, 2, that meta means 1, 3, and para means 1, 4. So, let's give an example. So, this is your aniline. So, aniline yung special name nito. In the second example, we have a nitrogen, an NO2 group. So, itong NO2 group natin, ang tawag natin dyan is a nitro. So, nitro. We have a nitro substituent. at ang parent name niya is aniline. So we'll expect the name is nitroaniline, but it doesn't stop there because you need to locate the position of the nitro group. The nitro group is paano ang numbering nun? The NH2 here is the carbon position number 1, 2, 3, 4. So at position number 4, you have the nitro. So that's why it's called 4-nitroaniline. But if you will use the prefixes ortho, meta, para, we will call this your para-nitroaniline. Again, bakit naging para to? Because the substituent is directly opposite the special, yung substituent na nagbibigay ng special name. May special parent name siya. Okay? So this one is para-nitroaniline. Kapag dito nakalagay yung NO2, this is your ortho, meta. So this is meta. Kapag dito naman sa position number 2, yung NO2 or any substituent, that is called your ortho. So ito naman. This is again your aniline, but this time the CH3 or the methyl group is at position 1, 2, 3. So 1, 3 position nila. So ano ang gagamitin natin? Meta. So that's why it's called M-methyl-aniline. O pwede din naman siya na 3-methyl-aniline. Or meron din kasing derivative tong si aniline na may common name na ginagamit pa rin hanggang ngayon, and we call this your toluidine. So toluidine is the special name ng aromatic compound na may NH2 and CH3. So we will call that toluidine. So toluidine is at M, meta position. So this is M-toluidine or 3-methyl-aniline or M-methyl-aniline. So recall lang tayo ng mga naming. So for the common name ng mga amines natin, for aliphatic amines, we just list the groups bonded to the nitrogen in alphabetical order in one word ending in the suffix amine. So this one, as you can see here, the NH2 group is at the end. So this means ito ay NH2. So this is a primary amine. So paano natin papangalan to? So you just count the number of carbons. So this is 1, 2, 3. Met et prop. Propane, you make it propyl, then you add the amine. Propylamine. Next, this one is called your sec-butyl. So paano naman nangyayari yung sec-butyl? Pag sec-butyl class, ay yung carbon mo ay naka-attach sa dalawa pang carbon. The rest is H. Okay? So ang butyl kasi ay met et prop but, so 4. So yung isa diyan ay meron pang carbon. So itong part na to, dalawa yung carbon niya. Ayan. Ngayon, saan nakakabit yung ating NH2? So yung NH2, this is yung NH2 dito siya nakakabit. Yung H dito, pinalitan siya ng NH2. So this is NH2. This is the C. Itong part na to ay yung CH3. Ito. And then, ito yung C na nasa gitna. Ito. And itong part na yan, ito. Met, et. Yan. Yung dalawang carbons. So this one, pag ganito yung arrangement nyo, this is called a sec-butyl. So sec-butyl and then just add the amine. Sec-butylamine. Now, ito, paano naman to? We have here symmetrical. Kasi symmetrical siya at meron dito sa part na to, this is just CH3. So itong CH3 itong isa diyan, yung similar na portion ay ethyl. So since dalawa yan, we call that diethyl. And we alphabetize the substituents, yung mga nakakonek sa N. So hindi natin kino-consider yung mga ditri. So ethyl first, then methyl. So that's why the name is diethyl methylamine. Next is this one. So the parent name here is your cyclohexane. But since siya yung ginamit na substituent, so this one is cyclohexylamine. So structure and properties of amines. So bonding in alkyl amines is similar to that ammonia. Why? Ammonia kasi is yung ammonia, ang kanyang 3D structure ay ganito. So para din siyang tetrahedral. Okay? So tetrahedral yung shape ng ating ammonia. So pag pinalitan natin to ng carbon, carbon, and carbon, so nare-retain yung tetrahedral portions. Yan. So nare-retain yung tetrahedral geometry ng ating mga amines. So another structure properties of amines. So amines with 5 carbons or less. So amines with fewer than 5 carbon atoms are water soluble. So water soluble yan. So primary and secondary amines form hydrogen bonds, increasing their boiling point. So again, ang hydrogen bonding kasi, it occurs kapag yung hydrogen mo is attached to an electronegative na element. So ano yung mga electronegative na element? NOF. And dun sa ating discussion, di ba, ang amine kasi ay may nitrogen. So nitrogen is also an electronegative element. So that's why yung mga H dito, they can form hydrogen bonds with other amines. So higher molecular weight amines are only moderately soluble in water or are insoluble. Kapag mataas na yung molecular weight ng mga amines, medyo bumababa na yung solubility nila or talagang hindi na sila soluble sa water. So another physical property, ito magagamit nyo to bilang mga criminology students kayo. So like ammonia, yung ammonia kasi ay medyo may matapang siyang amoy. So matapang yon. At kung alam niyo to, ginagamit kasi yung yung ammonia sa para may mga nahilo or nawala ng malay, pinapaamoy yun doon sa patient. So para magkaroon ng mabalik yung malay niya. So like ammonia, low molecular weight amines have very sharp penetrating odors. So pag sana wag niyo naman ma-experience yun na himatay kayo, paaamuyin kayo ng ammonia at sobrang tapang niya, magigising ka talaga. So ano yung mga examples ng yung mga derivatives ng ammonia? So we have here trimethylamine. So pag sinabi nating trimethylamine, you have the N and ang nakakabit sa kanya ay may tatlo kang CH3 group. So yung CH3 is a methyl. So that's why it's called a trimethylamine. So trimethylamine, for example, is the pungent principle in the smell of rotting fish. So kaya may naamoy tayong malansama, mabaho, nabubulok because of this compound. This is trimethylamine. So this is the structure. So other particularly pungent, when say pungent, medyo ang tapang, ang baho, distinct yung amoy, is yung 1,4-butane diamine, or we also call it a putrescine. And yung isa naman is the 1,5-pentane diamine, or called the cadaverine. So ano ba itong mga compounds na to? Magsimula ako dito sa cadaverine. So as you may heard it right, you have heard cadaver. So cadaver. So, yung cadaverine kasi, yan yung amoy ng nabubulok na bagay. Sabihin nating tao or organism, animal. So, nare-release yan. Kaya minsan, pag ito yun, importante to sa inyong mga criminology students. Pag pwede nyong i-test yung area kapag may nadedetect kayong cadaverine, ibig sabihin nun may something na nabubulok or na matay. So, this is your cadaverine. So, isa pang amine na compound na nare-release kapag may namatay or may nagde-decay, nabubulok, is your putrescine. So, this is, yung IUPAC name niya is 1,4-butane-diamine. At saan nanggagaling itong putrescine? So, putrescine kasi is the product, so I'll write it here, it's the product of degradation of amino acids. So, ano ba tong amino acids na to? Amino acids, yan ay yung ating building blocks of proteins. So, saan nakukuha ang proteins? So, yung proteins na yan, di ba, sa meat, sa laman. So, ibig sabihin, kapag yung organism or yung animal or yung person namatay, yung proteins niya doon, yung mga amino acid doon sa proteins, nade-degrade. So, yung pag na-degrade yung mga amino acids, ang nagpo-form is the putrescine. So, this putrescine is also mabaho siya. So, that can be an indication that may namatay or may nagde-decay or may nabubulok. So, for example, if you have a suspected na murder case and may freshly na hukay sa lupa, yung bagong tabo na lupa, at may naaamoy kayong something na bubulok, that could be putrescine or cadaverine. So, you can use that in future investigations. So, I think this is the last slide, is on about the basicity of amines. So, kasi yung mga amines natin ay basic in nature. When say basic, yung acidic, yun yung like yung mga acids natin. Pero ito ay basic. So, napaka taas ng pH nila. Okay? So, basic. So, the lone pair of electrons on nitrogen makes amine basic and nucleophilic. So, explain ko na lang siya. So, your amines, so ito, like this one, N, ito yung mga possible, at hindi na nilagay, hindi na specify, yung N mo may tatlong posibleng naka-attach dyan. Yung electrons mo dito, the lone pair, di ba? Ang nitrogen kasi ay may 5 na valence electrons. So, yung tatlong dots dito, yun yung pwede makipag-bonding. Pero meron ka ditong natirang dalawa at sila yung pair. That's the lone pair. The lone pair here can react with the H. So what will happen? Your nitrogen, the electrons here will attack this H. What will happen? Yung A na dun sa acid, HA, yung A will be displaced. So yung A dyan, magiging A minus. At itong N mo dito, magkakaroon siya ng extra bond with hydrogen. So, what will happen? It will become positive. This is, kung mapapansin nyo, kung ito ay tatlong H, ammonia yan, so this will become what? NH4 plus. So, this is your ammonium. Ammonium ion. So, ammonium ion. So, that is how your amines can react with an acid to form your ammonium. Magkakaroon siya ng positive charge. And then, magkakaroon ka ng A minus. So, ito ay salt. So, ano bang relevance itong mga ammonium ions na to? Pwede nyong i-detect ito sa mga bagay-bagay. So, like, yung mga explosives kasi ay Ang mga explosives, yung maririnig nyo na pinagbabawal yung paggamit nito. Ammonium nitrate. Kasi ang ammonium nitrate, this is used for explosives. So, yan, may another criminology related na topic tayo dito sa amin. So, pwede nyo siyang i-detect. So, pag may na-detect kayong NH4 plus, so that could be an ammonium compound, ammonium nitrate. Especially kapag ammonium nitrate ang inyong nasabat, ibig sabihin yan, pwede yang gamitin for explosives. So, I don't know if you're familiar with the explosion dun sa anong city ba yon? Yung recently, yung sobrang lakas na pagsabog sa isang city sa Middle East. So, yun daw ay naka-imbak na ammonium nitrate. So, yung ammonium nitrate, dahil nga meron siyang tendency na gamitin sa pampasabog, dun sa kwento ay, sa reports, yun ay na-imbak doon, and then because of yung meron siyang ignition, so sumabog siya. So, that is how ammonium nitrate is very harmful. So, dapat ito ay kino-contain, inaayos ang kanyang inaayos yung kanyang storage. Kasi pag yan ay na-expose sa heat or sa something that will trigger its explosion, that's very difficult to contain. So, yun ang nangyari nga sa Middle East. So, and also, yung ammonium nitrates mo kasi ay ginagamit sa fertilizers. So, meron kasing, hindi ko alam kung tama ba to. Kung may scam kasi din na yung mga ammonium nitrate as fertilizers, yun din yung ginagamit nila for, dahil alam nila na yung mga fertilizers na yan ay may content na ammonium nitrate, so pwede din niyang gamitin for explosive. So, I think, I know this ammonium nitrate is regulated here in the Philippines kasi nga, because of its, pwede siyang fertilizer, pero pwedeng gawing pakunwari yung paggamit ng fertilizer, but it will be used for explosives. So, that is something that can be related to your job as a criminologist. Ito pa pala. So, amines are polar compounds. Bakit? So, both primary and secondary amines have NH bonds. And, yung NH bond na yan kasi ay polar ang classification. So, you recall the electronegativity difference. So, you get the electronegativity difference of N and H. So, balikan nyo yung topic natin na yon at makikita nyo doon na the NH bond is polar. And this NH bonds natin can form hydrogen bonds with another. Okay? So, ito. So, ang example natin dito, this one is your, this one is a secondary amine. Bakit? Kasi meron kang dalawang R groups and then isang H. So, the N here is more negative. So, that's why it's given here the delta negative representation. And yung H natin dito is partially positive. So, the partially negative nitrogen is attracted to another hydrogen of the other molecule. So, isang molecule to at isa tong molecule. Magkaibang molecule yan. So, yung nitrogen here is partially negative and it is attracted to a partially positive hydrogen of another molecule. At itong attraction na yan ay hydrogen bonding. So, again, hydrogen bonding is just a force of attraction. It is not an exact, hindi siya yung bond talaga na na-form. Okay? So, it is just an attraction. So, kaya sabi dito, tertiary amines have no NH bonds kasi pag tertiary, tertiary amine na yan, ibig sabihin nun, tatlong R's na yung nakakabit dito. So, wala ka ng H. So, yung wala ka ng H na pwedeng makipag-bonding sa ibang ibang molecule. Okay. So tertiary amines have no NH bonds and cannot form hydrogen bonds with one another. Last, all classes of amines forms hydrogen bonds with water and are more soluble in water than are hydrocarbons of comparable molecular weight. Okay, so this one is tertiary amine. So the nitrogen here is partially negative, and that is attracted to the partially positive H nung ating water. 'Di ba? Recall nyo that yung water natin is partially negative at the oxygen and then partially positive dun sa sa H doon. So yung partially negative nitrogen is attracted to the partially positive H of your water. So pag nagkataon, dahil meron silang attraction sa isa't isa, so ano nangyayari? Dahil water to, your amine is soluble in water. So yung kaninang pinapakita ko sa inyo dito sa part na to, this is hydrogen bonding of an amine to another amine. So itong hydrogen bonding ng amine to amine ay nangyayari lang siya in the primary and the secondary. Pero kapag sa water na yung hydrogen bonding, lahat ng klase ng amines, whether it's a primary, a secondary, or a tertiary amine, it is capable of hydrogen bonding. Kasi yung nitrogen lang yung nagbabond, nag-a-attract, na-attracted dun sa hydrogen, dun sa water. So that will make it soluble. As stated here, all classes of amines form hydrogen bonds with water. That's why it is more soluble in water. So I think that ends our discussion. Thank you and have a good day.